It's 6:30, and we'll go ahead and get this regular city council meeting for Tuesday, August 13th of 2024. Marty, can we do the roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor Alvaro Ariola,
Here?
Mayor Pro Tem James DeRoos,
Here.
Councilman J.P. Sanchez,
Here.
Councilwoman Ernestina Martinez, Councilman Jesus Lopez Jr.,
Present.
Councilman Randy Quinones,
Here.
Councilwoman Carmen Gutierrez. Mayor, you do have a quorum.
At this time, can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and pledge allegiance to the Texas flag and remain standing? The invocation will be done by one of our own, Mario Garcia from San Joseph Church.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. Oh God, loving Father, we thank you for another day of life, Lord. We thank you for all the gifts that you provide for us day after day, and that we sometimes forget that you are there always for us, Lord. God, we ask for your grace. We ask you to extend your hands over this council, over this community gathered here, that you give them knowledge and wisdom, gentleness of heart, and understanding, that all that we do, both as this member of the council and us as employees and those citizens of the city of Del Rio, that all that we do are for the good of others, good of our brothers and sisters, and good for the human portion of it, that we all are part of one greater community. Bless those present here this evening and bless those on their way homes that may travel. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Our next item is number 5, citizens' comments. Any citizen wishing to speak during citizens' comments regarding an item on or off the agenda may do so after registering on the required sign-in sheet prior to the start of the meeting. All comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Topics of operational concerns shall be directed to the city manager, and comments should not personally attack other speakers.
First person up for the podium will be Steve Webb, Progress. Dot.
Mayor, Council, good evening. The reason I'm here tonight is to talk about progress. A couple weeks back, Mr. Chavez introduced a new organization chart that he felt would be beneficial to the city for operations and to assist customers in whatever their needs were. One of the council said that they wanted to wait for the new city manager. Why would you want to wait for a new city manager to make things better today for the public? Why would you have to wait? Because maybe this person might not like our organization chart. It'll give us time to look at it, evaluate it, see if it's working. They come in the door, they ask questions, you explain it, and we go from there. But no, we can't keep saying we need to wait for the new city manager. That's not progress. That's procrastination. We need to get something done. We need to get it done now. Things are getting ready to get hectic with taxes and everything else. And what are we going to do? Wait for the new city manager? We can't do that, obviously. Think about it when you're voting for these things, because whatever happens today happens today. We can't predict tomorrow. So quit thinking about this new city manager who's going to come in here and hopefully change the world. May or may not happen. You have a city manager. He's effective. He thinks about the community. He thinks about the organization. He's trying to make things better. Listen to what he's got to say. I hope you do get a new city manager soon. If that's what you feel you need right now, then more power to you. I think Mr. Chavez is doing a terrific job. He's trying to bring ideas to y'all, but y'all keep shooting him down with, we got to wait for the new city manager. The new city manager. Why? He's thinking ahead. He's trying to make things better. Use your heart and your brain, not just your brain saying, we'll wait till the new city manager comes in. That's not going to be any good. Another thing I'd like to address is also cell phones. Y'all have city cell phones. People try to reach you on it. They can't reach you on it. One gentleman tried for a month to reach one of the council people and never could reach him until he got his private number. He answered it right away. That's not what the city phone is for. The city phone is for you to answer constituents when they have concerns. They only call it when they have concerns. But if you don't need it, turn it in. It's costing the city. That's just a small fraction, but it's costing the city. But pay attention to your city manager. He's good at what he does.
Thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Webb.
Thank you, sir. Next item, person will be Alexandra Falcon Calderon, MSP EDC.
By the way, MSP is Main Street Program for the record. Yes, hello, Council, City Attorney, and Mayor Alarriola. Alexandra Falcon Calderon, former council for District 3. I have something very, very disturbing, and it is going to be very much spread in the community. Did you know the Del Rio Main Street Program lost its accreditation? Why was this allowed to happen? The Del Rio Main Street Program, you know that it is very crucial for the downtown area. The Del Rio Main Street's performance is annually evaluated by Texas Historical Commission, which works in partnership with Main Street America. On July 6th of year 2022, the Del Rio Main Street Program received 22 accreditation announcement. It was on Facebook. This was the fourth year in a row that the Del Rio Main Street Program received accreditation. This was based on the annual report that previous EDC Director Ori Fernandez submitted before she left in January of 2022. Now, Jorge Garza, Main Street Manager, under the supervision of Jorge Ramon, the EDC Director, should have completed one for the year 2023 and another for year 2024. And 2025 should be coming up in January. With this poor, irresponsible performance, the city will face challenges obtaining grants. To city and to too many failures. We've seen it. It's out there. I've been around to know a lot of this. That is why I freely say this. If they can't do their job, they can be part of the Del Rio team. Simple as that. There is also an annual membership fee that is been paid by the city annually to be affiliated with the program annually. So keep this in mind. No accreditation, no grants. While in council, I address this.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, ma'am.
Calderon.
Okay. Next item.
We are on item number 6, Mayor, Council, Public Announcements.
I was just gonna say I had the honor of attending the 14-15 World Series baseball in Eagle Pass, and our kids did a tremendous job. They won the first one, lost the second one. They played against some big boys from Pennsylvania and California and Aruba, but they represented themselves very well with sportsmanship and really they represented Del Rio great. Today they had another game, and then go to winners bracket. So I was really impressed with our kids and how they represent the community. So to me, it was an honor being there. Okay, let's go with next item, Marty.
Okay, the next item is number 7, informational items. We are not going to have any for 7A. We are moving on to 7B. It's the submission of the certified 2024 property tax appraisal roll for the city of Del Rio as presented by the Val Verde County Appraisal District.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Mr. Chavez, Jackie Casanova with Val Verde Appraisal District. I'm here to present your 2024 certified market values. Your 2024 certified market value is $2,838,265,603 with an increase of 3.56% over 2023. The 2024 certified taxable value is $1,904,789,441 with an increase of 2.98% over last year. Does anyone have any questions regarding the certified values?
Any questions from the dais? Mayor Pro Tem DeRuz? No questions?
No.
No? Go ahead and continue. That's it?
That's all I had to report. Yes, sir. To present your certified values and your certified taxable values.
The increases on, you said it was 300 and what?
No, it's a 3.56% increase over 2023. A 3.5% increase.
3.5%.
Yes, sir.
Which is a net of like $400-something thousand or compared to
last year. It's a difference of 97 million. $97,528,652. The difference in taxable value is $55,080,827.
now. Right now, it's just certified. We're just giving us information on this, right?
Yes, sir.
We still have time to question some stuff on this.
I can come back at any time. Yes, sir. If you have any questions regarding the values, I can come back at any time.
Okay. All right. Any questions from guys? No. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Next slide.
The next item is number 8, other business. 8A is request authorization for Mayor Alvaro Arriola to travel to Austin, Texas, August 19th, 2024 for the 20th anniversary celebration of the creation of the state of Coahuila and Texas, hosted by Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Coahuila Governor Manolo Jimenez.
Do I have a motion to dice?
Motion.
Councilman JP, second by Councilwoman Martinez. Any questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain because I'm the one going, so I'm gonna abstain on that one. Next item.
Okay, the next item is B, distribution of the fiscal year 2024-2025 proposed budget to the City Council and possible action on setting date, time, and place for one budget and property tax rate public hearing.
Mr. Chavez?
Yes, Mayor, City Council, you should have in a red folder the proposed budget for fiscal year 2024-25, and it's hole punch, so you can be able to insert it into your binder that was previously provided. If we can work on tabs, if you can bring that forward at any time, we can tab that for you. But I'll go ahead and pass it on to Ms. Roxy Soto, so she can kind of give a quick overview and highlighting some of the things that are on this proposed budget and what's we need to prepare for the upcoming weeks as we prepare towards adoption of the budget. Ms. Soto.
Yes, good evening, Council and Mayor. Roxy Soto, Assistant Finance Director. And this agenda item is for the distribution of your proposed budget. I did want to go over just a few budget highlights. Included in the budget, in the proposed budget for your operating funds is the 2% cost of living adjustment for all non-civil service, full-time, and hourly employees, including department heads. Also included is the merit program, where employees have the opportunity to receive a 2% merit increase. As of the last meeting, a few adjustments were made to balance the budget. Most importantly, it's that we have reoccurring revenues for some of our operating expenses, such as any COLA adjustments, supplies, contracts, and debt service payment. So with that, we do have a 1 cent increase in the property tax rate, which is now built into the budget, totaling the property tax rate of 0.7070 per 100 valuation. Also included is the 4% homestead exemption, providing property tax relief for residential homeowners, as well as an increase from $7,000 to $10,000 for homeowners over the age of 65. And lastly, I wanted to mention that our next budget workshop is scheduled for next week, August 20th at 5:30. And the last thing is that we are recommending the public hearing be on September 3rd, 2024.
So you're Rossi, you're telling me that the 1 cent increase is already in this
Yes,
type
sir.
approval yet?
It's just built into the budget to
Okay.
show the revenues for the general fund and the debt service.
What happens if it doesn't happen? Then we have to go back and
We have to make adjustments.
So this agenda item will be brought forward at the next budget workshop to discuss, and yes, should there be any differentiation as far as the proposed rate, then we can have that discussion and the process that needs to be taken from that point forward. There is time to make some adjustment prior to adoption, but that's the plan. We'll bring that forward for future discussion.
now the 2% increase, it's down the board, right?
Yes, sir.
Is there any way that on the next budget session we kind of different the hourly to directors? How much is the total from those positions, and is it possible, or is it we just do it bulkly one?
The
In other words, anybody, directors and above, this is what, and then these are hourly rates. This is with the 2% increase, and that's the total amount that we're going to put there, and then the rest will go to the other. In other words, if it's $1 million, 400,000 going to one, or I'm exaggerating there, but say 600 and 350 to the others. Can we get that report on our site, or
Okay, so to see like a comparison or
right on the 2%
cost,
increase?
Okay,
2% increase.
the cost of how much it would be for hourly versus how much it would be for salary.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Yes, we can provide that.
Any other questions on the budget to Roxy? No? Okay. Thank you, Roxy.
I think we need to set a date for a budget property tax rate public hearing.
What day was that, Roxy?
September 3rd. If everybody's okay with that, then we'll move forward with September 3rd.
Are we all going to be in town? September 3rd? Is that at 5:30? Yes.
Yes.
We're going to have it here at Council Chambers, or here?
Yeah,
We'll be
here. At 5:30 at the chamber.
Yes.
Yeah. And all right. Ready?
Works.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We are on item number 9, resolutions. 9A is resolution 2024-092, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Del Rio, Texas, regarding the appointment of a civil service director and setting an effective date.
Before I ask for a motion, I would love whoever makes the motion to put the resolution number and then make the motion. So like this, Mari will have. So do I have a motion on resolution 2024-092?
Why do you want?
I just, for the record, I think that's what Marty requested one time or another. Right, Marty?
We are reading the item, so
Okay.
we would just need to know whether it's a motion to approve or not
So
to.
just leave it as is. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution 2024-092?
I'll make a motion to approve Mr. Garcia as the Civil Service Commission Director in accordance with the resolution.
Mayor Pro Tem James DeRose. Do I have a second? Carmen Gutierrez. Do I have any questions or concerns from the council?
Yeah, a question. We already had this item before, 2 weeks ago on the last one. What happened to the other applicant?
Yes, Mayor, Council, if I may. So the statute, as far as local government code, requires for the Civil Service Commission to make a recommendation for Civil Service Director at their June monthly meeting. They voted for Mr. Garcia to be the Civil Service Director. I just want to remind the council, this isn't a budgeted full-time position. We do have this as kind of like additional services. The previous Civil Service Director was an individual from the Human Resource Department that had experience in that field, and so and previous civil service directors have been from the majority from the Human Resource Department. And with that being said, it isn't a full time paid position, and the local government code allows a city employee to be as director as long as the commission votes. The commission could also vote to replace the civil service director at any time.
Ask your question, sir.
Oh, yes, sir. Just clarifying to make sure, that we understand the position and how it's come about. That's fine.
Any other questions from Dice? I got a first and a second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item B is Resolution 2024-126, a resolution by the Del Rio City Council confirming the assignment of an interim planning and zoning director for the city of Del Rio, Texas.
Do I have a motion to dice?
I'll make the motion.
JP. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second the motion.
Councilman Randy Quinones. Do we have any questions from the dice to Mr. Chavez?
I have a question, sir. Mr. Chavez, in that department, sir, is there a chain of command of who takes care of the department while others are in absence? Like if you have a director that's going to be out on vacations or hospitalization, who's the next in line to take care of that department?
Yes, just with any department, the department head, pretty much based on the individuals and based on experience, will make that recommendation moving forward. And so in this particular case, Mr. Carcasi will evaluate to see, in his absence, who would be the one in charge at any point that he's not available.
So it doesn't go director, city engineer, assistant city engineer. It just goes to
Just to clarify, the planning and zoning department and engineer are two different departments, and no one oversees the other. They're independent. Under the planning and zoning, you do have several divisions, which include the code and the planning. So there are different divisions. The division under we do have a planning and zoning division and the code compliance division, and those are the ones that report directly to the planning and zoning director.
we did say we did hire a consulting firm, ABCD or AbleCDs for permit to give out permits and oversee the department, right?
Yes, we will continue to utilize them to review any permit, any process that is needed, and as long as it's needed, and that's something that we do currently have under contract.
were they reporting to you in particular or some other director while they were doing these permits? The consulting firm, were they directing information or permits issued out to you or to another director? As they were giving out permits, and we know we don't have a director, we don't have nobody there to oversee them. So you would be the next one in charge to oversee that department, right?
It with any department that reports to the city manager, that is correct.
Okay, so but it has to be a director to oversee the departments. Any director can oversee any other department. A director, right, sir?
So yeah, let me just make sure this is clear. Any department head oversees the department, which includes divisions. The department heads are the ones that report directly to the city manager, and any, as I mentioned, any division head uh, would then their chain of command is to report directly to the respective department head.
Okay, so if Mr. Carcasi gets this position, sir, is he still going to be maintaining the other departments as well, or just will keep seeing that department?
So now that he's interim planning and zoning director, there were some divisions that he was overseeing. I will provide the city council with the plan of divvying up those divisions to report to either a different department head or the previous department head. But I'll provide that to council as a temporary assignment as well.
From the original organizational chart.
It could go back to that, or as I mentioned, I could make a different recommendation based on what I see where each one of those divisions will best be, whichever department it would best fall under.
And a question other than when did Mr. Carcasi become a director?
So if you I did send out an email last week, and so that was effective of that email as far as making Mr. Carcasi the interim planning and zoning director.
Okay, I don't agree with it. That's the way it works. Or that's the way it's supposed to be in the process, because you are the interim city manager in charge right now, and you see it fit. You know, we'll just go for it right now, I guess, until the new city manager comes in and has his administration to work the best with the city, with conjunction with you and any staff member, that he still has here with him.
Correct. And yes, Mr. Carcasi, just for the record, is currently as a temporary assignment. As soon as we lost our previous planning and zoning director, that was something that I tasked Mr. Carcasi, and I have full confidence that he can continue to oversee that department to get us where we need to in that particular area.
So his title's not going to change from a department, from an auditor to a director now.
That's what this item is for. Moving forward until this assignment is complete, he will be the interim planning and zoning director.
So the auditor position is out right now.
For now, but he again he can assist where necessary, based on my direction.
Okay, sir.
Any other questions from the dais?
Yes, Mayor, I have one.
Go ahead, Carmen.
Just for transparency, is there a salary adjustment?
Councilwoman Gutierrez, do you mind bringing your microphone down towards you? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, for transparency purposes, is there a salary adjustment associated with this temporary assignment?
Yes, with any reassignment, any additional duties, there's always pay consideration,
Do you know what that is yet?
and that's something that we're negotiating with Mr. Carcasi.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the dais? Well, I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Scott, welcome aboard and good luck, sir.
Councilman Lopez, what was your vote?
I'm opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was 6. It was 6-1, okay? Mike, 6-1.
Yes, sir. Okay, the next item is 9C, Resolution 2024-127. A resolution authorizing the interim city manager or his designee to execute a contract with the Valverde County Clerk for conducting a joint and special election on November 5th, 2024, to include conducting early voting and authorizing a joint election agreement with the Valverde County.
Do I have a motion and dice?
I so move.
Councilwoman Gutierrez, do I have a second? Second. Councilman Lopez. Any questions for my?
I have a question. Will the hours, will we have to do something with the hours or will it be on the contract? Because I know the last election we had people complaining that the election was held at 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and some of the people don't get off work until 4:30 or 5. So there was a problem for some of the people that couldn't vote, and then they're at work by before 8. So that causes a problem. So now that we're gonna vote on this, will this be included on there or will it be on the contract?
The hours are listed in the contract. There is several extended hours on that contract. So there's a couple of 12-hour days and Saturdays and Sundays as well. So there are several extended hours.
Thank you.
Miss Mari,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor, may I? May,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Miss
I'm
Mari.
sorry.
So then this is because it's the joint election for the general election. on
Correct.
November 5th. Okay, thank you.
And
Any
if
other
I
que-
make one more
go ahead.
clarification, so the hours are stipulated by the state. However, the community can advocate for extra hours by approaching the election administrators. So we did not have anyone ask for extended hours until after the deadline at the May election. So it is always open though.
Any other questions?
I have a question. So,
Councilman DeRose?
um,
Mayor Pro Tem.
on page
Councilman.
152, this is item 10C, which is the actual, I guess, calling of the official election. It says, and confirm this is going to be final. At the top, it says 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and implies every day is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. except for Sunday, which is 10 to 4. Am I reading this correctly? That's
That is on
this-
election day.
but then on the early voting paragraph at the bottom of page 152, it also says 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Except Sunday, which is 10 to 4. Are those hours the final hours?
So they begin on at 8 a.m. on October 21st, and they will end at 7 p.m. on November 1st. However, in between those days, there are the hours that are listed below. For example,
Yes.
Yes.
But that 1 week does have 7 to 7 for the early voting.
yes, there, yes.
So that should hopefully fix those issues. So
Any other questions from the dice? Okay, there's a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? Against? None? That's 7-0.
Okay, we are on item D.
And on that one, we have a citizen's comment from Elizabeth Ortiz. Would you mind stepping up to the podium?
Hi, my name is Elizabeth. I'm with LS LLC. The reason why we're here today is because we were present when the bids were turned in, and the company that it's being awarded the project to, it was at 540 and we were at 188. When they opened the envelopes, the company that's being awarded to did not have their bonds, so that automatically disqualified them from the being awarded. So that was our first question: was why were they being awarded the project if they did not meet the qualifications for it to be awarded to them? Second, there is a company from out of town somewhere that submitted a bid for 210 we were at 188, and then the company that it's being awarded to is at 540. So we wanted to see what it was that was being bid. If they turned in the same, if they were turned in the same, sorry, let me see.
Specifications.
Yes, specifications as we were. We just want to make sure that we're bidding what they bidded, and if so, why is the higher number being awarded the project?
Say,
That's it for me.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next individual will be Raul Alatorre.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. I'm actually going to bring up the same topic, and it's regarding the same process. I know that we had a Zoom meeting with this company, with your city purchasing agent and also the architect, and we actually described the scope of work that was going to be done for this project. I did mention other things that need to be fixed, which was not in the scope. So I just want to make sure that we're actually comparing apples to apples, unless something was alternated afterwards, which I think it's wrong if it was. I mean, even though it's considered a grant, this, because I know that the windows already been ordered, and you guys should be getting them by September. I already got notified on that. So it makes me wonder how we actually spend our tax dollars. You know, I mean, a higher bidder, and you have two other bidders, they're almost at the same level. Why did this one go so high? If he's bidding for something else that we were not aware, we were not told, if that's the case, I think you guys should table it and let us bid it again. Be fair about it, because if the purchasing agent did not provide the correct information to me, he defaulted on that. I think be fair and square. That's my comment. Now, customer service, please answer your phones.
Thank you, sir. I guess before I proceed on asking for a motion, Mr. Menchaca, would you like to give us a presentation of everything?
Mayor, would you like me to read the agenda item?
Yes, please.
We are on agenda item D, resolution 2024-129, a resolution to authorize and direct the interim city manager to approve a contract with Jose Ernesto Salazar LLC DBA Jesco in the amount of $540,000 for contract services for the Southern Depot Rehabilitation Project.
Okay, Mr. Menchaca, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, staff. Before we talk about anything, I did want to specify this was actually a request for proposals. It was not a request for bids. The difference, of course, is that a request for proposal is normally used for something that the bid is not able to be done on something that is uniform. Normally, a request for bid is done for very specific items that you're going to be able to put out a specification, and anybody's going to be able to meet those specifications. A request for proposals is for something that's a little bit more difficult to maybe put on paper. And so that's mainly where the difference comes in. A request for proposals also doesn't tie us to price, and the way that this is normally awarded is for the highest evaluated vendor. In this situation, we had several items, right, that we were evaluating. Part of it was respondents' capability to perform, respondents' qualification and expertise, respondents' past performance and experience, respondents' references, and price. Price is only 5 points on the 100-point scale. So even though the evaluation committee did take the price into consideration, it wasn't a major factor. So whenever we did hold the interviews, there was certain vendors that said that they hadn't been able to take into consideration the level of rot that the building already has. So that's mainly where once everybody evaluated all the different vendors that submitted their proposal, the highest rated vendor was Jesco. So that's why we are proposing for Jesco to be awarded a contract.
Do you have any questions for Mr. Menchaca from the dais?
Well, I don't have a question, but the way I see it, the highest proposal did not provide you with a bid bond. Was the bid bond required?
The bid bond is required, but the city...
So he didn't supply you with the bid bond?
Yes, but
okay.
if you may. if
So,
you allow me.
that's the end of that question.
Yes.
He didn't supply you with the bid.
Yes, but the
The other
city
two
has
vendors,
the
the
opportunity.
other two vendors did supply you with a
No,
bid bond.
no. And if you allow me to just elaborate.
Yes, they did. I see on the bid form here where it says bid guarantee that the other two bidders did supply you with a bid guarantee.
There were several items that were listed as requirements, and not all the vendors submitted all the requirements. Now, normally the city will only reject a proposal, a bid, or a statement of qualifications if the missing item is going to affect the price, the quality, or the delivery of the work. The bid bond can still be obtained before a contract is finalized, and that's why we felt comfortable moving forward with
Now,
Jesco.
a bid bond is supposed to be supplied when you bid. Then there's such a thing as a performance and payment bond, and that is usually supplied when you're being awarded the contract.
Yes,
But
sir.
a bid contract is supposed to be supplied when you bid. That means that your number is guaranteed.
Yes,
That's
on the
why-
request for bids.
That's
This
why
is
they
a
call it
request for
a bid
proposals.
guarantee.
And there's a request
And-
for
and
proposals.
I can't accept this. I can't go with this. It sounds like to me that your specifications were too vague. You had two vendors that were within a couple $20,000 apart, and then you had this other one that was $350,000 apart. And right now the city is in a crunch. We're in a financial crunch. We need to save as much money as we possibly can. So you're going to need to go back, or as far as I'm concerned, because I'm just one vote up here. You need to go back and work on your specifications and make it fair to everybody. Because the way I see it, you're not being fair to everybody. And then you're asking us to go for award a contract that's $352,000 more than the low bid. $330,000 lower or higher must be than the second bid. So with this crunch that we're in right now, we can't afford to be making decisions like that. And I think it's up to you to clean up what you're doing. This is a reflection on you.
Yes, sir. Just to clarify, I don't set the specifications for any of the projects.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You don't do that.
Yes, I don't.
And-
So
and-
it
and,
wouldn't be something that I do.
And this is not right.
Can
You guys need to get your
JP
stuff together.
JP,
Yes, sir.
Councilman JP, Mr. Chavez, could you answer some of those concerns that Mr. JP had?
Yes, and so as Mr. Menchaca was mentioning, what determines what gets put out is based on the type of bidding process that is being utilized. In this particular case, it was a request for proposal. That might be something that we probably need to clarify in that sense. I'm comfortable if City Council wants us to go back and do something different. But in this particular case, it was a request for proposal. It was specified what needed to be submitted, and as Mr. Menchaca mentioned, that as a if it was a bid, definitely that was something that should have been part of the whole process. But again, if that's something that you want us to come back, reevaluate, or do something different, then we're open to that.
That's what I'm making my motion for.
Mr.
That we reject the bids and resubmit with new specifications, making this project more clear.
I have a question. Is this grant money?
Do we have a second?
Okay.
Yes, can I add something really quick? The request for proposals was text dot requirement. They did ask us to do a request for proposals. We cannot do a request for bids for this project. Also, this is 100% grant funded, so it's not paid by property taxes or sales taxes. So it is a grant fund. And we do have the available funds for construction and for project management, and 540,000 does meet the grant funds available for this project.
But going back to the motion that Councilman JP Sanchez wants to do, we could postpone it to go back to the drawing.
I think right now, if you want to make a motion the way that Councilman would like for us to move forward, you would be rejecting all the proposals. We would go back to We would go back to the drawing board. We'd have to get everything approved by TxDOT. Now, that's one of the things that I do need to let you know. This was approved by TxDOT to post the way that it is. And that's why we posted it the way that it is. So it was okay for TxDOT for us to post it in the format that we posted it. So that's why we moved forward with it the way that we did. Now, if we go back to the drawing board, we'll have to get it reapproved by TxDOT. It may take a couple of months. We are expecting the windows to come in September. So normally it takes around 2 months, 3 months to get it approved by TxDOT. So we would be going in back for 2, 3 months plus the 1 month of posting the evaluating. So we would be looking at doing the construction around January or February. We do have a deadline set for June 2025 for this grant.
I guess, Mr. Macheca, the proposal or the specifications that TxDOT put, every contractor got that, right?
Yes, they are posted on the website.
And everything that was going to be done in that particular building, the contractor was aware of everything that was going to be
Yes, and we also had a pre-submittal meeting where everybody was able to attend. We did have 2 vendors that attended. Jessica was one of them. We did review the location with them. They did look at the level of rot. I'm not sure if the media can show the screen on the laptop, just so we can show the pictures that I'm looking at right now. If not, then there you go. If you can see, this is what we're talking about. Whenever we did the interview for the vendors, there were several vendors that said that they did not take into consideration the rot that we have at the building currently. Jesco did visit the location 2 or 3 times. They visited at least once with us, and they did take that into consideration to the point where they're actually asking for us to do 110 days instead of 60 days of construction. So that's why whenever the evaluating committee held the interviews and finished their evaluation, that's why they recommended this company, because they felt that it was the most responsible path forward for the city for us to complete this in a timely manner. But yes, if we go back to the drawing board, we'll have to get it reapproved through TxDOT, and it's going to take a couple of months. So I just want to put that out there.
Well, there's already a motion on the dais, so I have a second for it.
I have a second for that so that we can continue the discussion.
Okay, go ahead, Carmen.
A second. Mr. Macheca, Mayor?
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Mr. Macheca, so if I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying that all 3 bidders had the same information and bid the same scope of work.
Yes, we post the request for proposals online, and it's pulled through online. We do not provide it directly to anybody.
Right, and you're saying that TxDOT approved that.
Yes, they approve the request for proposals as it is.
Okay, so would you explain, but first of all, I'd like to clarify one thing. I was a certified state of Texas purchaser. It was part of my job. I also wrote specs and purchased procurement and contracts. And right away, the very first thing, and I mentioned this to Mr. Chavez, I met with him yesterday. I said there was no bond guarantee. I would have disqualified it automatically. No further, we would not have moved forward with that. What I don't understand, with that being said, is so I agree with Mr. Sanchez, but what I don't understand is how could you have such a big variance from 188,000? The second closest was 210, so that's sort of close to each other, and then the 540,000. And when I received information yesterday that I was questioning, I was told that Jesco found extra things that they were going to do, include in that. So that's why their amount was so much higher. But my question is, were the other 2 bidders given the same opportunity to bid on that same amount of work?
The amount of work is listed on the request for proposals, so everybody has the same opportunity. The invitation.
On the same amount of work that Jesco bid on.
So I need to remind you, they're not doing a bid; they're doing a proposal.
Right.
So yes, they can submit a proposal based on whatever they have a finding on, right? So if I have two different people evaluating something, I cannot tell you if they were evaluated the same way. So it seems like if it wasn't evaluated the same way by both different vendors, I can tell you that Jesco was with us at the pre-bid meeting. The other two vendors who sent a proposal were not. Now, one of the things that I do need to let you know, right, risks of going with the lowest bidder, sometimes that means reduced quality of work. It means costly delays and more change orders. So if, for
Mr.
example,
Machaca,
yes,
going back, you stated that TechStop had approved the original one.
yes.
So if one of them comes back with a request of proposal for additional work, TechStop hasn't approved that. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that based on their proposal, they sent based on their evaluation, they sent a proposal, right? If they, whenever they're proposing to fix the way that they're proposing it to fix, they come up with one price, then that's the price they came up with. And then the other vendor is able to go and evaluate it and they send it in for the proposal that they evaluated it on. So I'm not sure why they priced it so differently. The only thing I can tell you is whenever we did the interview, there was several of the people who said that they did not take into consideration the level of route because that was one of the questions that we asked. If they
So,
took,
Mr. Machaca, so, okay, going back to the bond guarantee,
Mhm.
okay? So you listed it here as a requirement, correct? You're checking it off.
yes,
And this company did not, this business did not have the bond guarantee.
yes.
Why was this business not disqualified?
In previous times, we've rejected several proposals, several bids, and it's been the sentiment of the council for us to possibly work with vendors, right? And in so the stance that the city tries to take is that unless it is going to affect the delivery, the price, or the quality of the work, then we will not automatically disqualify them. So we try to work with the vendors. In this situation, they were able to send the bid bond. It was dated June 18th. And so they did have it, they just didn't include it in the package. So we've had several instances in the past where we do try to work with the vendors, especially because it is very difficult to get a vendor out here in Del Rio. So it's mainly based on that sentiment that we've received on the past from council to not be so strict whenever it comes to missing items, to try and work with them unless it's going to affect the price, the quality, or the delivery of the work. And in this instance, the bid bond, unless we obtained it before, unless we didn't obtain it at the time that we get the contract, then it doesn't really affect either of those three things. So that's why we felt comfortable moving forward or recommending for us to move forward with this vendor.
Last question.
No more questions.
Let me ask you: are you the only one that sits on that committee, or there's somebody
No,
else with you
there was 5 members that sit on the committee.
within the staff, or
Yeah, with staff. And then we, of course, had Able City, representative from Able City because TechStud is requiring us to have Able City part of all of the negotiations and part of all of the evaluations as the project manager.
and this is your staff, or is it
No, it's
administrative
city staff. It's city staff. Normally, what we do is we suggest a committee to the city manager, and the city manager will say yes, no, and then depending on whatever the city manager prefers, then we go ahead and let them know, hey, you're part of this committee. You have until this date to evaluate them. And normally, everybody evaluates on their own. We don't discuss it amongst each other. We submit the evaluations to one of my staff members. Right? She collects all the evaluations and then she provides us with feedback on who it was evaluated on.
So I imagine you have somebody from finances, somebody from a different department.
Yes,
sit with
we
you.
had. Let me see if I have it on me. We had Esme was part of it. We had myself. We had Luis Mireles. We had Eric Cooper, and then we had Esther, who is part of transportation at the location. Eric Cooper is with finance. Luis Mireles is with public works, and myself with purchasing.
Mayor, may I ask one more?
Yes, ma'am. Come with yours.
Do these individuals, have they attended any training? Have you attended any?
On
Are
what?
you certified on purchasing,
I have.
procurement?
Yes, I have.
And are these individuals that are part of your committee, have they attended any training?
I wouldn't be aware if they've attended any training. I don't know if Esme can answer for herself or for Esther.
I think the more we go around, Councilman DeRusse, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Are you done?
Yes, I'm
Okay,
good.
go
Thank
ahead, Councilman DeRusse.
Mr. Petracchi, you've stressed a couple times that this was a
Request for
request for
proposals.
proposal as compared to a request for bids.
Yes.
Correct. So I guess I'm confused on a couple things in addition to what Councilman Sanchez said, because it doesn't say anything in here about a request for proposal. At the bottom of the background, it talks about you accepted sealed statements of qualification. Under discussion, it says received statements of qualification. I don't see the word proposal anywhere. And then it also says the work will include the installation of 20 windows and 7 door units. And were all of the bids for 20 windows and 7 door units?
Although the proposals?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It just doesn't make sense. I'm going to defer to Councilman Sanchez as this is his area of expertise, but I mean, we're talking 2.5 or 3 times as much. I realize that it's grant money, but one, we could potentially use the remaining grant money for another project, possibly. But if nothing else, it's still taxpayer funds. Whether we got it directly from the people of Del Rio or we got it through the state, it's still taxpayer funds that could be used for other things. And I realize you probably can't get into detail about the differences between the proposals, but are you saying if the contractor that's here tonight scored, let's say, 80 on theirs, and the one that was 2.5, 3 times as much scored 81 points, are you required to go with the one at 81?
No, at that time we go ahead and hold interviews or a second interview, and then the staff meets again and we reevaluate.
Well, you had said that it's based off of value, not necessarily price, because price, you said, was only 5 points out of the 100-point scale. So at that point, given there's only 1 point difference, it seems pretty obvious that the best value, given that they're so close, would be the lower price one. And again, I understand you probably can't get into the details of, well, this vendor scored this many points and so on. But was there a
if you want
significant
to,
difference?
I have them available. I have the scores available.
I mean, it just, I don't know enough to honestly be fully up to speed, but man, it just seems weird.
In the past, I do need to remind you, we have done a change out of 3 windows, and the cost I want to say was around $240 for 3 windows. That included the windows, and the windows were valued around $60,000. So let's say 3 windows, that's $180. So for changing out 3 windows, they charge us $60,000. This is almost 10 times as much, right? So that's easily $600,000 if we were to do the $30,000 that they charged us last time, or $60,000 for 3 windows. So once you do the math, it makes sense with the last time that we paid for the 3 windows.
True, but if you're going to do, in this case, 6 times as many windows plus the doors, there's certain economies of scale that you are going to achieve. So it's not going to be a straight, 10 times it's going to cost 10 times as much. That's not necessarily how those things are going to work. I just don't know what I'm missing here.
300,000? No. There's a first and a second. Is there any other questions?
I have a question. So I know it's been a lot going back and forth, but did somebody mention that the windows were already ordered?
Yes.
So this price is just for labor, or is
Yes,
it
for the changing out. Yes.
So they're changing out the same wooden windows.
Yes. One of the things that whenever we interviewed Jesco, that they said is that they also included not just removing and changing out the windows. It's actually looking at the frame where they go installed and changing a lot of that out, because like I showed on the pictures, it is very run.
Yeah, but I think that's the window frame, but I don't know much about construction. It does seem weird to me also. The amounts is alarming, the difference, in my opinion.
Was that you?
No, I'm gonna go with Mr. Sanchez and Councilman DeRusse. I think we need to.
There's a motion, a first and a second. Any other questions?
No question.
Lopez?
Is this part of the grant money that we received a few years ago for the restoration of the transportation building? Is it $1 million?
This is a new contract on that same grant. Yes.
There's an extension of the grant.
Yes.
And are there other modifications that we got to do or work, scope of work to that building other than windows and doors?
There is. I know the department is working on a phase three. I do not have the details for that, but they are working on a phase three. Depending on how much money we have left over once we finish the windows and doors.
So if we were saving $300,000, we can add all these extra repairs that need to be done to that building. I mean, I don't know the scope of work that's got to be done other than restoring it back of windows and doors that are deteriorating because of the years they've been there. It's a historical building. TxDOT's own it, but they can give us permission to stay there and you know, to pay for the grants and all this. I'm just saying, are you and the staff always aware of what's going on in that building to say now this happened to like a restroom or the floor or the walls, you know, to the building other than just windows and doors?
I will get notified once my involvement is needed, but I'm not over facilities management, so I wouldn't know all the details all the time.
Who would inspect the building to find out if any kind of repairs or?
I think Esme can address that.
Esme Mesa, Community Services Director. Esther is the Transportation Director, Esther Avila. And so if there's any issues with the building, if it's something that the custodian cannot fix, if it's something that would need building facility and maintenance, she will.
Can I say something? I don't know. I guess my attorney can kind of vouch on this and my city manager. I think we're going too far into all the specs and everything. I think it's already a motion on the floor in a second. If we can proceed on the motion, because we don't want to give everything out. I think we want to be fair with everybody, and I think that's where we're going to stop. I would love to continue, but like I said, there's already a motion and a second.
If I can clarify the motion just to make sure I have it correctly. So the motion is to reject all bids and provide a more clear guidance of specifications.
All proposals, Mari. It's
All
proposals.
Going back, was it a proposal?
Bid the job.
Okay. All right. So there was a second by Councilwoman Gutierrez.
Can I ask one more question? Just one.
I would just leave it as this and let's move on. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes? No, just go.
I could not see Councilman Gutierrez's motion. Will you?
I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. All right. We are on item 9E, Resolution 2024-130, a resolution to authorize and direct the interim city manager, Manuel B. Chavez, to approve a contract in the amount of $135,770 with Jimenez Engineering, DBA International Consultant Engineers, for the Archery Range Water Well Project.
Do I have a motion and dice?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Mayor Pro Tem James Roos. Do I have a second?
No second.
Councilman Lopez. Any questions?
There's one word of typo on the thing here, on page 49. It just says an ordinance authorizing and directing the city manager, John Sheedy. So we have to remove
What?
that.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
The first whereas I missed that. Good catch.
Well, I mean, if I read.
I believe in 2023,
What?
City Manager
John
Sheedy
Sheedy
was.
was there.
Yes, we was city manager.
But
no.
That's good observation, Councilman Lopez.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That's why it didn't jump out at me. Okay.
Any other questions from the dice? Not? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Item 9F is Resolution 2024-131, a resolution authorizing and directing the interim city manager, Manuel B. Chavez, to execute an engagement letter in the amount of $59,500 with Convention Sports and Leisure International for a feasibility study and market analysis for a new convention center in Del Rio, Texas.
Do I have a motion on the dice?
I have a motion that we decline this. We're already in a financial crunch, and I don't think we're going to be able to come up with $20 million to build a new convention center. And I think the spending of $60,000 to have a feasibility study is just not appropriate. So
There's,
Mayor? Is anybody else care to I would like to second
Okay.
and add a couple of comments to that. This is, as I understand it, hot tax funding, $59,500. And while I know that it's something that we would like to have, I don't believe it's something we need to have at this time. When I followed up on this particular item, I understand it's only plans to have this feasibility study shelf ready, ready to go, possibly for another year for future funding. And really, the only shelf plans I'd like to see is the 4-lane highway on US 90. And so this $59,500 could could be used to improve the existing civic center because it qualifies under the state of Texas hot tax ordinance for improving of an existing facility. And that's what I would like to, just add. But I second his motion to reject or to decline it.
So you have first and a second. Any comments, Mr. Councilman Cruz?
I was thinking the same thing because yeah, it is hot funds, but going down, it's going to cost who knows how much, and I don't think that it really makes sense to have it on the shelf because even if we do it 2 years from now, we'd really need to do a new feasibility study because we all know, 2 years ago, 4 years ago, the economy was a lot different than it is right now. So I think even from that standpoint, it just doesn't make sense to have it on the shelf because we're not going to be able to just pull it off, dust it off, and go. So.
Okay. Any other comments on this?
Mayor,
Oh,
if I may, so the plan here was to try and obtain this feasibility study. The plan was to, once we have the completed study, we do have hot funds that could be utilized for the construction of a convention center. And I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that what we currently have is a civic center. The civic center is made for ballroom style events. This particular uh, uh, convention center, again utilizing hot funds, would be to try and attract conferences, expos, conventions. One, to achieve the heads and beds, and so currently what you have, you don't have the amenities to have breakout rooms or to be able to bring in a large expo, and so that was the plan there. The plan was to also, again, as I mentioned, utilize hot funds for possible construction, and the way that would work, if you were to go out and borrow, let's say, whatever it requires to construct something, then the bond payments would be coming out of the hot funds. And so, definitely, yes, you can utilize hot funds somewhere else, but that was the purpose of this particular project. If that's something that council feels that we don't need to explore, then yes, just want to make sure that everyone is aware that these funds would be utilized from hot funds and not so much from general fund.
I guess I'm with everybody else right now. There will eventually be a need, but right now we just got to tighten our belts and move forward. But a lot of things are happening. So there is a first and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item G is resolution 2024-132, a resolution of the city of Del Rio, Texas, authorizing the execution of a hangar keeper's lease agreement with GRA RUP LLC for this certain Del Rio International Airport land located beneath hangar B5.
Do I have a motion on the dais?
Motion to approve.
Councilman Lopez, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman JP. Any questions, concerns for Mr. Chavez on this?
I have a question. What's the difference in rate between a commercial and non-commercial lease agreement?
Why?
I didn't see one.
Yeah, I didn't see him out there. He was hiding.
He's always hiding back there.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. Commercial and non-commercial refers to the activity that can be conducted in the hangar.
Okay. So how is an LLC non-commercial?
He's just gonna keep his airplane there. The motive, what he runs his property, he treats his personal property as LLCs. I don't know. Maybe taxes from the state where he is better for him. Maybe he's keeping
that
away
just-
from any divorce
Just
proceedings.
sounds bad, right?
Or yeah,
Having-
you never know
having
what.
I mean, having an LLC, right? By definition,
Yes.
you know, I think we know what the C means. How can you justify? I mean, this is IRS stuff, but how can they justify paying it through their LLC if it's not for LLC functions? I don't know if we want to ask that question. I'm getting a little bit off topic.
Yes, and on section 4 of the lease, it has the permitted use, and the only use is to restore the aircraft and minor maintenance of the aircraft, which is an oil change or do a 100-hour inspection, something that the owner can perform.
Any other questions from Dice to Juan? You're right. with it?
I'm just having a hard time wrapping my brain around this, and I don't know what if. Well, I'll stop.
All right. There's a
My
first.
brain hurts.
There's a first and a second. All in favor? All right.
I'm opposed. I just have a problem with it.
You voted for it. Right?
No, I voted
No,
against.
you abstained.
Okay, we are on item H, resolution 2024-133, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Del Rio, Texas, providing for the appointment of 3 members of the Del Rio International Airport Commission.
Do I have a motion on Dice?
I so move.
Councilman Gutierrez? Second. Councilman Lopez, second. Any questions from Mr. Chavez? Did you all review the candidates? Yes. Any questions? No? All in favor? All right.
Item I is resolution 2024-134, a resolution in accordance with state law and the Del Rio Code of Ordinances, providing for the appointment, reappointment, and confirmation of members to serve on the Board of Adjustments for the City of Del Rio, Texas.
Do I have a motion on Dice?
I'll make a motion to approve the recommended people.
Councilman DeRusse. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman Ren.
The recommended people. It's not on the resolution.
Who are the recommended people will be
Jacob
The,
Kuchenberger.
Belinda Horton?
Yep.
Raul Alatorre? Dennis Smith? And then Alejandra Falcon Calderon? Eli King, right?
Yes.
Now there's any questions, concerns, or anything from the dais? There's already a first and a second.
I have a question.
Okay.
Who appoints the committee? The committee members? Or how's the application process for any committee? Do the committee members
So we did have an ordinance that we adopted last year as far as to be able to come back and make recommendations for any board or commission. The process requires someone to submit an application for that respective board. Then the mayor, the city manager, and the respective liaison for that particular board or commission interview all applicants submitted, and then a recommendation is made to the city council based off of those interviews.
so it was done properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any questions from the dais? At this time, I'm gonna abstain on this one because I wasn't on the interview like it stayed on the ordinance. So there's a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And I'm gonna abstain.
Opposed? You weren't completed.
Sorry, Councilman
There's
Lopez,
1, 2,
you
3,
oppose?
4.
Oppose?
Next item.
Okay, we are on item J, resolution 2024-135, a resolution in accordance with state and local laws establishing J.C. Vasquez subdivision out of lots A and B, Loop 79, commercial subdivision, Valverde County, Texas.
Do I have a motion on the dais?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
JP?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Martinez. Any questions on the dais for Mr. Chavez? Councilman Ruiz?
I just want to confirm the agenda item says that the water and sewer are going to be private, but the application says that both of them are going to be on the city system.
Yes. That is correct. Mayor, Council, Vasquez, System Authorities Director. It's going to be provided by the city of Del Rio. That was a typo on the agenda. The plat does specifically say to be provided by the city.
Any follow-up questions, Councilman Ruiz? No? Anybody else? No? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So,
Item K is resolution 2024-136, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Del Rio, Texas, authorizing and directing the interim city manager, Manuel Chavez, to execute an easement and right-of-way agreement between AEP Texas Central Company and the City of Del Rio for electrical distribution service at the City of Del Rio San Felipe Springs Golf Course.
do I have a motion on the dais?
Motion.
Councilman
Second.
JP, Councilwoman Martinez, second. Any questions in regards to this? If not, all in favor?
Aye. Item 10A is ordinance 2024-028, an ordinance authorizing the use of hotel occupancy tax revenue pursuant to Tax Code Section 351.001 for the International Good Neighborhood Council, Del Rio Chapter Fiesta de Amistad celebration for expenses that promote tourism and the convention and hotel industry.
Do I have a motion on the dais?
Motion to approve.
Councilman Lopez, do I have a second?
Second.
Councilman JP. Any questions for
Mayor.
Mr. Chavez? Yes, Councilwoman
Would
Gutierrez.
you like to go first?
Yes, ma'am. Just for the record, on page 127 is the agenda summary related to this ordinance. I want to clarify that under the discussion tab, that was last year's information. And this year's information is found on their application, found on page 133 and 134, which lists the expenses total up to the 10,000. And just want to make everyone aware that the information that was listed on the agenda summary was last year's, and the ordinance itself is correct.
Any questions for Carmen?
Thank you,
Go
David.
ahead. It's all yours.
Okay, just for transparency, I am the treasurer for the International Good Neighbor Council, and I will be handling, as I do, any type of monies that come into possession, grants, or whatever for the International Good Neighbor Council Del Rio. And so, just for transparency, I would like for you all to be aware that should this hot tax funding be approved, I will also be processing it. However, I have no vested financial interest in this, so there's no legal conflict. Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment. I am the secretary, and I also don't have any financial coming to me from that, okay?
Any other questions, Councilman?
When is the actual event? I don't remember seeing any dates as part of the application. I assume it's in October, like it normally is, but
It is
if
Mayor,
you
Council.
let people know.
Andrew Scarborough, President of the International Good Neighbor Council. So the events are in October, like they always are. They're the whole month of October, actually. So every weekend this year, every weekend in October, we actually have something for Fiesta de Amistad. So it starts off with our kickoff ceremony on the 4th of October, and then we teamed up with the Del Rio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce to do a masquerade ball. That's a part of the events that'll be on October the 5th. And then October 18th will be a 5K, 10K PTSD run that we teamed up with with that organization, the PTSD organization. And then we have the Abrazo on the 25th of October, and then we have the parade on the 26th of October, and then of course the arts and crafts on the 26th and 27th. Now I do want to let everybody know, because I know it's been a lot of discussion out there, and I'm pretty sure the council wants to know this also. The 25th of October is the actual anniversary of the Abrazo, when the treaty was signed. So it's kind of unique this year because we never really get to have the Abrazo on the day itself. So that's actually why it was picked this year. Some questions out there have been that the time frame is really close to the end of the month, and it usually doesn't go all the way towards the end of the month. But the reason that it just so happened that it landed on a Friday, that October 25th landed on a Friday, and that's the actual date of the treaty signing. That's the reason we did it on that day.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Andrew? No? Okay. There is a motion, a first and a second. All in favor? All right.
Okay, item D is ordinance 2024-029, an ordinance in accordance with the Del City Charter and state law, ordering and calling for a special election for the purpose of proposing amendments to the existing charter for adoption or rejection, providing measures and propositions for proposed amendments to the existing charter.
Do I have a motion on the dais?
Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a motion on the
I
dais?
do. I so moved.
Councilwoman Gutierrez. Do I have a
Second.
second? Councilwoman Martinez. Okay. Do you have a question?
Mr. Charles, when is the deadline for actually submitting this to the county for elections? That you should have it.
Marty?
The deadline for calling an election is August 19th.
August 19th.
Yes, sir.
So everything has to be in there by that time.
Do we have to give them the final wording by August 19th, or just the fact that we're going to do it?
Well, we can.
This serves as notice to the public of what you intend to change, and so you could change some little things in there, tweak it a little. The item that you've got a concern with, I can see why you have a concern with it, and we can talk about it, maybe table it.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I was planning on discussing that and making a probably amended motion about the approval based on that one item. But I just want to know, when is the actual deadline? Because could we vote to formally say yes, we're going to do it, but then do the final verbiage later, next week?
If you express it today.
You got to word it that way, right?
Yeah, you have to say what changes you want to make.
Yes, I am planning on doing that.
Okay, very good.
So, okay.
Then Bravo.
Any other questions, concern?
So did we have a first and a second to?
Yes.
Okay. I will make a motion to remove the deletion of section 24. It's on page 158 of our agenda packet under Proposition B, and then Measure B. Section 24 is basically making the municipal judge a department head hired by the city manager with the confirmation by the members of the city council. I understand the committee, and again, I thank them for all of the hard work, their desire to stress that the city manager is who runs the city. However, I think a logical extension of this is now you definitely have a conflict between what the judge is doing, kind of should be by themselves, but they have to report to another city employee. And then, of course, you get the next logical extension, which is, well, if we're going to put the city judge under the city manager to stress that they're running the city, then that means that the city secretary and the city attorney are logical extensions to make that same change. And I don't think any of us think that's the right way to go, or we should. So that is my rationale for wanting to remove the change on section 24 and keep the part about the municipal court and the judge being hired by and answering to the city council the way it currently is.
Anna?
Councilman DeRusse, I just want you to know that that was not the recommendation of the charter committee. The wording there.
Well, that's the exact same conversation I had at the meeting where we talked about it, and Charlie Zeck said, "Yes, you are right. That is what that says. That we're making the municipal judge a department head.
Cool.
That might not be what they mean, but if that's what the words say, that's what the words say."
But I just want to make it clear that it was not the charter review committee's recommendation. So,
Well,
so
I asked them, and they stood up and said why they were making that recommendation. Yeah.
Is it too late to go back to the committee so they can?
No. The committee's making recommendations, and Councilman DeRusse has an objection to one of the recommendations. So you take a vote, and if that passes, then the language.
Right now.
I mean, what am I incorrect on with how I characterized it?
I'm not sure.
Who made the recommendation? Is that all you're saying I'm wrong on, or you're saying what it says?
No. Who made the recommendation?
Okay. It came before us. Let me rephrase. It came before us as a recommendation that it be changed so that the municipal judge shall be appointed by the city manager upon a recommendation to and confirmation by the affirmative vote of at least 4 members of the city council. That is basically what the process is to have the city manager hire and or appoint a department head.
That is correct.
And so now that person, the way that this reads, it says municipal judge in section C may be removed from office for incompetency, misconduct, or malfeasance by the city manager. So that means that the judge would not be working for the city council anymore.
You are correct.
So
then actually he hired him, right?
Yeah.
So, well, you made a motion. This the second.
I'll second it because I understand what he's saying.
Okay. Any questions, concerns on it?
Just for clarity, what you're saying, Councilman DeRusse, is that we keep it as it is right now,
Yes.
directly hiring by
Us.
and evaluating by the city council.
Yes.
Okay, I will support that.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? All in favor?
Well, I have
You
another
have one?
concern. On section 3.1.1.
Well, I think we need to vote on this one before we can move on. Sorry.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Next, my question review again the section 3.1.1, the city auditor on page 154. No, so it's totally scratched out. So that means we're eliminating that particular section of the charter for the city council to appoint or hire a city auditor by council. Because if I see the city organizational chart, it goes under city council. But here, there looks like they eliminated it all the way on this. It's a Senate bill, legislative Senate bill saying the city council can still do that without this vocabulary here. Am I right on?
It could be that that's why he eliminated it, because you have independent authority to, but you don't need it in the charter because you have independent authority.
But I know we hired an auditor for the finance, and this one, the way it's said in the city charter, is to review everybody and to report to us any anomalies.
But did you say something about the Senate bill?
No, unless it's part of already on the new Senate bill that we can. Or this doesn't have to be in the charter no more.
In order to have a position that's overseen by the council, it has to be in the charter.
Okay, so when the city council is not going to see the city auditor anymore.
If you eliminate it, that's correct.
So I would recommend not eliminating that particular item as well.
Do you want to remove that?
I want to make a motion to keep the city auditor the way it is written still. I don't want to remove it.
The motion is to oppose the change?
We're supposed to change from 3.1.1 on the city auditor.
Do we have a second on this?
Because in this case, the city manager would do the city auditor hire.
No, there'd be no.
No? No? Okay, so I read it wrong somewhere then.
We would have to create a position added to the org chart, but it would be under the city manager if we did that. Because
It's already in the org chart.
Yes,
for the city, for the
but
council.
it says there may be appointed by the city council, and we have tried to appoint multiple times. This is not even if we could find someone. This isn't a mandatory fill.
Okay.
You know. So.
All right, then I rescind my motion.
All right. There's first, a second. All,
What did we have a second already?
oh, well, this one is done.
He
This one
rescinded.
here.
He
Just,
rescinded.
okay, I go back to it. Okay. So that's done, right? Everything else is all right. We'll proceed on. Now we can.
So we do have a motion to approve the ordinance, including
The
the
whole-
motion
the-
by
the
Councilman
changes.
Mayor Pro Tem Torres, correct.
Do I have a motion to approve?
We do have a motion and a second already for that.
Okay. On that one?
Yes. It was Carmen Gutierrez and Ms. Tina Martinez.
And there was
So there's already first and second.
We voted on it.
Oh, we voted on his.
We voted on
On his.
my amendment to delete that
the way it
portion.
was.
Now we have to go back and vote on the original motion.
There was only one correction.
Well, then, then since I made the original motion, right? I move for the original motion. I need to amend my motion to include the changes.
Okay. Who made the first? You did? You did. Okay, Carmen.
I did.
Yeah. You need to amend it. And you seconded, right?
Yes, second.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? If not, all in favor? Aye. 7-0.
Marty, did you get that?
All right,
Hold
we
on.
are on item C. It's the ordinance 2024-030, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Del Rio, Texas, supplementing the City of Del Rio Code of Ordinance, Chapter 2, Section 2.26, by adding Section 2.26.1, City Council of the City of Del Rio, Texas, Rules of Order and Procedure, providing for repealer, severability, and savings clauses, and providing for an effective date.
Do I have a motion on the items?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Councilman DeRusse? Do I have a second?
I'll second because I have a question.
Councilman Woman Gutierrez?
Yeah.
And we can start with your question, ma'am, since you
Okay,
made the second.
I have a question because I don't know what this is doing in here. On page 175, changing paving assessment plan. Is that the only one that would require us to have here on this rules, Robert's Rules of New Order? Because why would that be here? Changing pavement assessment plan.
I think that's a question that our attorney should be answering.
What was the question?
I just didn't understand why the paving plan would be in this.
By the one?
The paving plan, 175. Page 175, bottom of page 175. I'm sure there's a reason, I just don't know.
Oh, that's state required.
Oh, okay, that's state required.
Yeah, there's sections there that talk about how many votes you need, and some are according to state statute. So that's state required.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions from the dais?
Oh, yes. So,
Mayor Pro Tem?
page 172, under attendance by public, it says council meetings shall observe the same rules, priority, decorum, good conduct applicable to members of the city council. Okay. But now we go over to page 180. It says visitors attending the city council meetings may not bring food or drink into the city council chamber. So, I am confused. If people are supposed to have the same level of action and decorum, but I'm allowed to bring food or drink, that doesn't make sense, right? Now, if we as a body decide, well, let's not bring food in, but we allow drinks, we need to follow the same rules. So, depending on what other people think, I would make a motion on whether it's food, drink, only one of the above. I also have a problem with, on page 174, subparagraph F, motions, and I realize that it might be in Robert's Rules of Orders, but it says motions may be made by any member of the City Council other than the chair. Any member of the City Council other than the chair and person offering the motion may second the motion. I would like to strike that. I think there's no reason why whoever's running the meeting can't make a motion, right? We have a number of differences, some clarifications, some duplications from various places. There's no reason that we can't deviate from what Robert's Rules says because it is not mandatory. And like I said, I just see no reason why whoever's running the meeting cannot make a motion.
Is there any way that we can just postpone this so we can all review it? Because there are several things.
You didn't review it already?
I did, but I'm a little uncomfortable with some of the things. I think we're rushing into this.
Can I make?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, under recommendation, it says the council may pass the ordinance and sign an effective date that will give council members an opportunity to test out the new rules or to receive training on the new format for meetings. Or it may be table the item for further discussion at a later date. Immediate implementation is not recommended.
I think I don't know how y'all feel, but we can table it till we get all together and have a workshop on this so we can clarify some of these things, Mr.
Because there are a number of
Mayor Pro
big
Tem.
changes.
Yeah.
So Mari, now what do we need to do now?
Just table.
Body?
Well, right now we have a
Because there's a motion
to
on the table to approve it.
So it depends on how the vote goes. So right now the motion is to
Oh,
approve.
there's a motion. There's a first and a second. So all in favor of the motion?
To approve it.
Correct.
The motion to proceed with adopting this.
What was the motion?
To approve it.
You made that
Oh
motion.
yeah, I made the motion because no one else was doing anything, so I wanted to get
he wanted to
get things
kind of
going.
have a conversation.
I second
You
for
second
purpose
for
of
questions.
discussion.
So
It can die.
it died. I think.
Well, I mean, we should probably just vote no. I vote no.
Opposed?
There we go.
Well, opposing it too. So it makes
Then
still
it's opposed to it.
oppose it. Or against.
Opposed against.
Okay, so does this mean that you don't want it at all?
No. I think.
Because that's what you're voting for. You could also vote to table.
Other than those two things, I had no problems with it, and it made sense. It was something. It was a nice distillation of various rules that it's a relatively quick read. So now we'd all be on the same page, so we don't have the same problem that we had a few meetings ago. It's just those two things bothered me.
So is your direction that you don't want these or you want it back?
You don't want it. No.
Oh, you don't want it? I say
Well,
bring them back, so then there's no confusion like we had the few meetings ago.
I think our attorney will be on hold and she'll stop us every which way that she can. So
Just for the record, you have not adopted Robert's Rules of Order.
I know.
And you have no rules of decorum. Just for the record.
I think everybody's okay. So it's 7-0. Move on.
We are on item D, ordinance 2024-031, an ordinance amending Article 5, Chapter 20 of the Code of Ordinances and adding a special events permitting to Chapter 20.
Before I ask for a motion, I think I got Chief Judge Elia Moses to the dais. I'm sorry, Judge, to keep you waiting. I'm sorry you're the last one.
Calling, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm here because we've had some incidences that came up in these last few weeks regarding special events that affect the federal courthouse and the property of the federal courthouse. We have a buffer around the courthouse since the Oklahoma bombing. We now have to have a buffer zone. So now if I have a new courthouse built in Del Rio, I have to have 5 acres as an offset for the protection of the courthouse. Because we entered this building prior to the Oklahoma bombing, we don't have the offset. So that creates some special problems for the federal court. In the last couple of weeks, there was an event that happened, and it was at first blocking the federal courthouse parking lot. And so I brought that to the attention. It was changed to a certain extent. We still had some problems using the federal courthouse because I had to block off our parking lot. So we weren't allowed or weren't able to work on a Saturday. And yes, we do work on Saturdays because of these special requirements and conditions. What I found out in the process is that the city doesn't have any limitations in the type of events that you have on the public streets of Del Rio. What I understood is the only ordinance that you have is that if everybody meets the qualifications for the closing of the streets, that's all that they have to do. That's my understanding, that that's the only requirement that the city has. In this particular event, those required agreements by everybody did not occur, although the city still had to give the permit to the people that were conducting the business. Now, I am the Chief Administrative Officer for the Del Rio Division. I'm the Chief Administrative Officer for the Western District of Texas. I was not notified of any of these matters. I did not give my consent. And my concern is without some kind of ordinance that also considers the special circumstances of the location around the federal courthouse, that we're going to be in this kind of conversation in the future. That's one of my concerns. I don't want to get in the way of the city having any type of events. I don't want to be I don't want to be in a position of monitoring any kind of events, but you don't have anything that monitors what kind of events you have or where you have them. And that is my concern in terms of our situation.
Thank you. Okay.
Mr.
You're
Mayor,
ready?
Judge, thanks for making those comments. I was not aware about that buffer zone. So, given that, I would like to make a motion to postpone this to make sure that those type of things have you incorporated that type of stuff in here since then? So let me back up. I'm not making a motion yet.
Okay.
So
call the motion.
Yeah.
But basically, what I added to the ordinance, it's at the end.
It's on the page.
Well, basically, it's a statement that says that the
Which paragraph?
I'm looking for it,
Oh,
but
okay, sorry.
the event holder has to comply with has to contact the local governmental entities, which is the city, school district, county, and federal government. And it's my understanding that Judge Moses is working on some rules that she's gonna, or some recommendations to tell us what it is. Oh, here we go. It's paragraph 20.74 under application, and it's item O. Written approval from the property owner if any portion of the event is held on or affects the reasonable use of private property, which includes use of property owned or under the control of federal, state, county, and local governmental entities. So, with Judge Moses' cooperation, if she submits a set of rules for us to follow, then they will have to follow those rules.
Would that list of rules be attached to the application, or how would they get that? And then that's great for something downtown, but what about? I mean, we have a lot of different governmental agencies scattered throughout, governmental buildings scattered throughout the town.
What I would recommend we do is to contact each of them and give us a set of their requirements, and then we would attach it to the application. But if we don't include them in the ordinance, then they can be flexible in terms of what they want to do or don't want to do later on.
So given that, that would mean that the application would not quite be ready for prime time. Do we need to postpone this for another meeting just to make sure that the application is tight before we do it? Because I'd hate, to pass this tonight and then a couple days from now someone comes in to get the application and it's not really ready.
And we don't, as the judge said, we don't have an application. Really, what it turns out that we have is we have a Del Rio Police Department
currently,
policy that's governed by the Del Rio Police Department, and it only applies to closing streets and residences.
Yes.
So that's why there was that confusion. So we don't have anything to stop anybody from having an event.
Would this apply a certain area of the downtown, or is it?
Well, no, this would apply to the entire city. So you know, whether it's up by the border patrol, you know, office, you know, if someone wants to do something there, you know,
And they have had events out.
exactly.
Mhm.
So,
Just to,
but
just to clarify, this only is a requirement if you're utilizing city property, correct? As far as the special events permit.
If you're utilizing.
Get used
Oh.
to that podium, sir.
Good evening, Council Mayor Scott Kercasey, apparently interim.
Congratulations.
Zoning.
Congratulations.
So yes, so this ordinance applies to city property.
yeah, so basically, if you're doing anything blocking any city street, which for most special events, you're going to have to block at least one street.
Correct. And so related to the application, if you approve this ordinance tonight, there's a 60-day delay before the ordinance takes effect. Right. So it's not like we adopt it tonight, it's in effect tomorrow.
60 days.
Did I? Where does it
Mayor?
say that? Did I miss that?
Yes.
Mayor, I have one question.
Hold on. Councilman.
Would the permit be issued? I mean, is it on an honor system that they contact? If I'm understanding what was said, or you will withhold the permit until you get something from, let's say, it's the federal courthouse.
So with
a clearance that it's
So-
okay.
with approval of this, the application wouldn't be accepted because if it did occur, we'll use this example, and they hadn't approached the federal courthouse, they wouldn't have had that approval, so the application would be denied until they had that approval.
They have to go through all the process before.
So you would not issue the permit then unless you're sure that that entity has
Yes.
given their approval.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am. So this ordinance allows us to review the location. Part of the ordinance is we have to evaluate how does it affect police, fire, EMS response. There's a section in the ordinance that if there's a requirement for fire department access, EMS access, because sometimes we get like really, really crowded and we're having a good time, but we don't think about what happens if, you know, a fire truck needs to come through. So the fire department adopted a manual that has those guidelines, and that's included in this ordinance.
That would apply to nonprofits as well.
Yes, ma'am. Anybody applying for a special event permit.
Okay.
But a lot of the people or businesses that were conducting special events downtown, they have to go around the other stores and ask them if it was all right with them, right?
So there's a problem with the street closure application. So it is more for a block party, and it talks about residences. So this kind of clarifies all of that. We were making it work because that was all we had, but this clarifies the application process, the approval processes, and all the requirements.
Still on the table, sir?
Well, can I add just one more thing?
Sure.
There's supposed to be an appendix with the fees, recommended fees. And we
That
don't
has
have
to come back.
Yeah,
for
so it does have
approval.
to come back.
Okay.
No fee
So,
adjustments.
one on the second page of the ordinance, the adjustment period. The way I read that does not say it's delayed for 60 days. The way that I read it.
It says
It says the application fee may be waived and a permit issued with any reasonable condition necessary. Right. So it doesn't say that this doesn't go into effect. It says we can add some conditions to the current process. But Judge Moses, if I'm reading your body language correctly, you are in disagreement that this is sufficient.
No, I'm not in disagreement. I'm saying that the city, my personal opinion, it's personal, not official, is that you need something like this because in this last particular situation, the only way I had noticed is that our building manager saw somebody out there measuring items, and that's how we found out what was going on and that we were being affected.
Okay.
And so, even though they didn't have our approval for any of this, the matter was approved. And so, my concern is, I don't want to have to be worried about always looking out the window to see what's going on.
Yeah.
If there's a process that's in place, and my question to the city council is, what if somebody wanted to close 2 blocks to have a strip-a-thon? You don't have an ordinance right now that controls that.
Oh, what? I'm sorry.
Say somebody
don't go
wanted
there.
to strip.
Oh,
Don't go there.
Say
excuse me.
if somebody
You
wanted.
took me out of.
I apologize.
Kind of threw him off his game there. So,
I,
whoa.
I was just trying to go to
We'll
an
do that in Del Rio.
I was just trying to go to an extreme example. If somebody wanted to have some kind of an extreme event, you don't have anything right now that in any way guides or limits that, other than if they've checked all the boxes off to close the
Yeah.
streets, that's it.
Yeah, and I think that was the case in our concern with the last event that you referenced.
Well, and my understanding is that event is now purportedly being planned for every quarter.
What? That's the first I heard about that.
My understanding is that I'm hearing that now that's going to be proposed possibly for every quarter. And so what happened is I had to close my parking lot down for even my employees to work on a Saturday, so that we would be able to preserve the sanctity of the federal courthouse property. And even then, somebody chained a trailer to our fire hydrant. And so there is a problem with
Small
not
problem.
having. Well, there's a problem with not having something in writing for the city to be able to conduct some kind of a verification process.
Yeah.
But no, my body language is not that I'm opposed to this at all. I want to be a good neighbor, and I want to be part of the city. I love Del Rio. I've been here now 34 years, but we do have some limitations.
Thank
you. And Scott, how long have you been working on this special?
So,
because you've been working on it for quite a while, right?
yes, so we presented a draft during a workshop, and actually this ordinance has been being worked on since before I came back to the city. 2018, 19. City Secretary and Denton Navarro had previously worked on doing it. Then Miss Marty handed it over to me, and
And
Run
you said,
with
"Thank
it,
you
huh?
very
and
much."
try to, and then Mrs. Smith came in and cleaned up a lot of some of the stuff I couldn't figure out.
Because I remember about a year ago, I think
Yes,
John and they were working on this, right?
Yes, sir.
Trying to put it together.
So, Scott, are you recommending that we approve it tonight and come back with the fee schedule and do all that, or postpone it?
There's no fees.
I would recommend approving it so we can at least get going. Because since we're in budget, we would approve the fee schedule during the budget process. So we would be presenting you that fee schedule for the special event related to specifically special events, along with all the other fees, because council adopts the entire fee schedule as a whole.
Well, can we adopt it and have it take effect at a later date?
Well,
It should be approved.
but again, the second page with the adjustment period, to me, doesn't say it doesn't go into effect at all for 60 days.
Right. And I read it, and we can make a few changes on that. But if you want to go ahead and do that, and then, but I don't know about the fees.
I mean, I was willing to go with it, until we started the discussion. Now I'm not sure if that's the right way to go.
I mean, even if we approve it today, the judge is going to bring us some rules that we can actually implement and put into play and update this. I think that's one of the. Am I correct, Judge? You do want to bring us some rules that we want to kind of put together with this ordinance or this special permit.
The marshals are working on a security packet, so you will know our limitations on security in
Right.
terms of what is needed for us in terms of any situation.
Right.
And do you know how long we might?
They're in the middle of all of the trying to get. A lot of our regulations are also Office of Management budget, and
Ooh,
and so
OMB,
we're going through all with
fun.
OMB, and so we're trying to get all the regulations together.
Okay.
And
But
that's
a
why
lot of this is off of the Oklahoma bombing situation.
and that's why it's written the way it is, so that rules can come later.
At least we have something to clarify and put to action whenever somebody comes and gets a special permit for an event, instead of what you guys were working with.
Yeah, so this particular event was a struggle because the only thing we had was a street closure permit.
Right.
Now, the organizers, we met with them. You know, we told them about some of our concerns. Uh, we did not know they did not reach out to all of the affected businesses at first. So we did have a meeting with Chief Judge, Mrs. Smith. We did contact them. They did come in, and we were able to work with them in rotating the event around to move a lot of the stuff that was going to be close to the courthouse further away. But again, an ordinance would help us guide from the beginning rather than trying to wing it as we're going through it.
Yeah, that's what we've been doing so many years. So, we don't have a motion yet. Does anybody want to make a motion to adopt this?
I
Motion
so
to.
move.
Huh?
Want to make a motion to approve?
Oh, that's okay. We can do it.
Randy, can you make the motion? You want a
Mayor Pro
second?
Tem. Yeah, I'll second.
Second by Councilwoman Gutierrez. Any other questions for Scott or concerns? If not, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Against? Abstain? No? Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge. I'm sorry for keeping you so late. I know you got court tomorrow, so I apologize.
The next item is 11, consent agenda. This is the procedure to help facilitate the meeting with the consent agenda. One motion will approve all action items noted as consent. These are routine matters which are repeated on the agenda. Approval means it will be implemented as recommended by the administration. Prior to acting on the consent agenda, any council member may have a consent item withdrawn from this portion of the agenda so that it may be discussed prior to action. 11A is approval of minutes, July 23rd, special and regular meeting minutes. 11B is resolution 2024-128, a resolution declaring various property and equipment as surplus property for auction during fourth quarter of fiscal year 2023-2024, and authorizing the interim city manager to take additional actions reasonably necessary to dispose of the surplus property. And item C is the quarterly unaudited financial statements as of June 31st, 2024.
Before I ask for a motion, does anybody want to pull anything from the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve all as presented.
Mayor Pro Tem Councilman DeRuz, second by Councilwoman Martinez. Nobody has any questions, I'll go ahead. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Okay, the next item is executive session. Executive session items are 12A, executive session on matters covered by section 551.074, parentheses 1 of chapter 551, Texas Government Code, deliberation regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of the city secretary. Item B is executive session on matters covered by section 551.074 of chapter 551, Texas Government Code, discussion of personnel matters, including the interviews of Type B Del Rio Economic Development Corporation Board applicants, and item C, executive session on matters covered by section 551.087 of chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, deliberation regarding economic development, namely a financial offer or other incentive to a business that seeks to expand in the city of Del Rio. The city council will reconvene into regular session upon conclusion of the executive session and may recall any item posted for executive session for action as necessary.
At this time, before we go into executive session, I want to wish Mr. Mayor Pro Tem James DeRuz a happy birthday. He turned 29 today.
His birthday was
Happy birthday,
Just the
sir.
other day, again.
July.
Well, we celebrated today. Is your birthday in July, sir?
29.
Oh, today, right?
No, a couple weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Okay. Well, delay happy birthday. It is 8:29. This council will go into executive session. Oh, 7:27?
baby pictures.
Very nice. You didn't do good. Did good.
That was all mama.
It is 10 o'clock in this council. I've reconvened from executive session. There was no action, but we'll have directed our city to bring back 12A on the first meeting of October. Okay, so first meeting of October, we'll bring 12A. Okay, it is 1 and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Gracias a Dios.
Thank God. Have a good evening, man.